Hello and welcome to the Ecological Delve. Where we will be taking a closer look into the world of Monster Hunter. Whether you have never heard of this world, you are just starting out on your adventure, or even if you are a seasoned veteran, all are welcome to join me as we take a delve. Now, what we have here is the Rathian. I like to call certain monsters staple of one thing or another, but none can truly hold that title better than the king and queen of the flying wyverns. They are so prevalent that their presence anywhere we find ourselves researching is not just anticipated, but darn near expected at this point. Hell, even here in the New World, we don't just get one variant, but 3 different ones. Both the Rathalos and the Wrathion have been a part of the monster hunting experience from the very beginning. And although we will be delving into the Queen of the Land specifically today, it is important to understand the relationship these two have with one another and their ecosystems. The Rathian and Rathalos are 2 parts of the same coin. Rathian is just considered the female counterpart to Rathalos. Now, a monster having a male with a female counterpart is nothing entirely unique in the New World. One example we see this with is the Diablos and Black Diablos. Oh man, that video is going to be fun to make. Those things are friggin' nightmares. And of course, the Teostra and Lunastra, which we will speak no more of today because screw those a-holes. My current plan with them is just to skip them and hope no one notices. While you will often find either of them hunting on their own, this is one of the few cases we see of 2 monsters actually cooperating to achieve their collective goal, that being the protection of their nest and its eggs. The part that Rathalos plays we will cover in his dedicated video. For now, let's finally delve into the Rathian. She is known as a true wyvern, meaning she is a bipedal winged monster that can actually fly. Looking at you, Tigrix. You freaking loser.
Know your fucking place, trash!
However, she reserves her flying capabilities for long-distance transportation, and will not stray far from the ground if she does not need to. The reason for this is her strong motherly instinct to protect her nest. She will primarily patrol the ground because that is where a majority of the threats to her eggs reside. Whether that be from a kuliaku or us hunters. Calm down, woman, I'm just trying to get some breakfast, damn! Now, should you foolishly think you can be slick and steal one of her eggs with no repercussions, she will gladly educate you in the error of your ways, by relentlessly pursuing you to the ends of the earth. This is actually one of the few instances of any monster traversing from one zone to another in order to dish out a little bit of hunter murdering. Look, you made me drop it. I was only going to cook one of your babies, but now I gotta go back and get a second one. Speaking of murdering hunters, let us transition to her combative capabilities. Being a close combat monster has made this mama tough. She even has more health than her male counterpart. When it comes to dishing out damage, she has enough for seconds and thirds, and there will be no cell phones at her dinner table, young man.
¿A quién estás diciendo charap tú? ¿A mí me estás diciendo charap?
In summary, she can poison you with her tail because why not? She can spit fire at you because of course she can, as well as having very aggressive grounded combat utilizing her entire body as a weapon, making it really hard to avoid. All that coupled with her ability to fly, honestly, I'm surprised they didn't throw in a kitchen sink while they were at it. Starting from the top, her tail, which is already clubbed, has poisonous barbs to boot, and she is very motivated to ensure that everybody receives a healthy dosage. But there will be no spoonfuls of sugar to help this medicine go down. Rathian's favorite means of administering this poison is with a freaking backflip, because killing you isn't good enough, she needs to flex while she's doing it. This can be mitigated by cutting her tail off. And apparently, that wasn't always the case. In previous generations, she would still poison you whether her tail was on or not.
This is cancer!
Next up, her fire breathing. There are two primary attacks to watch out for, one being a burst of 3 fireballs one after the other in a cone pattern in front of her. Second being a charged up central attack that unleashes an explosion that is much larger than the previous attack. This fiery nonsense can be nullified by frequent attacks to the head, which causes her to be too exhausted to produce anything more than a few sparks. However, these sparks can still give you fire blight, so try not to just walk into them. As mentioned earlier, the fire and poison are just icing on the cake. The main brunt of her damage comes from more direct means. Most of the biting and tail whipping is pretty standard, but there is one maneuver she does so much. When I see something similar from other monsters, I call it doing the Rathian. She will charge from one corner of the arena to another over and over again, making all of the melee hunters regret getting out of bed that morning, and the range hunters don't get off easy either because they are most likely the ones she has her sights on. Now, this by itself wouldn't be too bad if it wasn't for her hitbox going from the size of a tree log to the size of a barn, making it really hard to avoid. This fire-breathing barn will not only crush your bones, but crush your soul as well. The best way to get her to slow down is to exploit her keen eyesight by using a flash pod to blind the crap out of her, or taking advantage of her grounded tendencies by using traps. Alright, let's jump to the 2 subspecies before this video becomes a feature film. For those of you watching that are colorblind or are treating my content as a podcast, this is the pink Rathian. She has gotten herself a few upgrades, like some extra armor on her neck, back, and particularly the first half of her tail, meaning any hunters who are keen on cutting that tail will have to get real friendly with her poisonous barbs at the end. Otherwise, their attacks will be bouncing worse than my rent checks. And speaking of that poison, at the master rank it will turn into the noxious poison. We are not sure who her dealer is, but we believe she is getting it from the Viper Tobigadachi.
I just need $200. I take these real estate classes, and I'm back on my feet, baby. I'm serious, Rob. It's me, baby. It's Tyrone. I'm cleaning up my act.
And finally, we get to the gold Rathian. Oh man, I already know while I'm recording this script that capturing footage for her isn't going to go well for me. She is a beautiful beast that has an impressive body count, and for good reason. Her gold scales are extremely tough, so she will whittle down the sharpness of any weapon, and she still has that noxious poison to watch out for as well. But undoubtedly, her biggest change is her hellfire. This stuff is the New World equivalent of napalm. It burns much harder than almost anything we've encountered. This comes along with a new combat state where she becomes wreathed in hellfire. While in this state, she will use new attacks and spit all of her fire abilities more frequently. This hellfire will stick to any ground it lands on for a short time, vastly limiting movement in the area. And her large central fire blast has increased damage and radius that is close to nuclear proportions.
Enemy nuke incoming! It's over!
But the 3rd degree burns are worth it, hunters, because the weapons that the blacksmith can make for you with her materials are some of the best in the New World currently. They all have great damage, strong durability, and really high poison stats. And poison is the strongest ailment in the New World because there is not a single monster that it isn't effective against. Except Zero Magdaros, but his only weakness is heavy artillery, so it's no real comparison. Rathian tends to get outshone by her male counterpart. And that is downright unjust because she really does hold her own. In particular for the higher ranked ones, because the gold Rathian fight is way worse than the silver Rathalos.
No, that missed. Oh.
It is so easy to see why she has such a presence in this world and those of the previous generations. She's just a gift that keeps on giving, and I will very much appreciate her wherever she may turn up in the future. I have been your host, Kanadi96, and this has been the Ecological Delve. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends, and stay tuned for the next episode.